All right, let's kick things off today by diving into the world of DSS Consulting. They're doing some really interesting things with industrial digitalization. And we've got two case studies and their website here to kind of guide us.
Yeah, it'll be cool to get a glimpse of how they're using technology to change manufacturing and production.
Totally.
They're a company dedicated to helping industrial clients basically optimize their operations through digital solutions.
Sounds kind of like they're like the digital detectives of the manufacturing world. You know, a company comes to them with a problem, a bottleneck,
Yeah.
maybe just a nagging feeling that things could be running smoother, and DSS swoops in with a custom-made tech solution.
I like that analogy. And what I find really interesting is that they don't limit themselves to just one type of tech. We're talking software, embedded systems, data analysis, like you name it, they do it.
Okay, so let's jump into our first case study here. Imagine a company in Hungary making steering systems for like every luxury car brand you can think of. We're talking Audi, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Mercedes.
Wow.
The pressure to get things right must be intense.
Yeah, no kidding. And get this, they were relying on spreadsheets for capacity planning.
Seriously, with a workforce of over 1,300 people?
Yeah.
I'm getting flashbacks to my college budgeting days. And that was just for one person's ramen noodle consumption.
Well, DSS Consulting came to the rescue with a system they built called Staff Manager. It basically streamlined everything. Time management, projects, even keeping track of employee skills and certifications.
That's awesome. What kind of results did they see with this new system?
So they managed to save 80 hours of administrative time every month.
Wow.
That's huge.
All thanks to smart technology.
Yeah, and it's not just about fancy software. It's about freeing up human potential.
I like that. All right, on to case study number 2. This time we're looking at a major German engineering firm specializing in assembly technology. Think precision, high-tech, a lot of moving parts.
Got it. And this company had already developed a digital assembly assistance system. It basically combined hardware and software to guide operators through each step of the assembly process. But they wanted to take it to the next level.
So that's where DSS Consulting comes in. What did they do exactly?
They further developed the existing software and then integrated a proof of concept from a university, which was some really cutting-edge stuff. And finally, they packaged it all up into a production-ready application, taking care of everything from licensing to testing to quality assurance.
Sounds like they were a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a pattern here. They're not just tech wizards, they're also masters of making sure that technology actually works in the real world.
Exactly. They know how to bridge that gap between innovation and implementation.
Speaking of bridging gaps, you mentioned that DSS Consulting's website talks about industrial digitalization and Industry 4.0. I have to admit, sometimes those terms feel a little buzzwordy. Can you break it down for us?
Oh, sure. Think of Industry 4.0 as the next big leap in manufacturing, where everything is connected, data-driven, and intelligent. And DSS Consulting is right there on the front lines, helping companies make that leap.
Okay, so how do these case studies fit into that bigger picture?
Well, both cases showcase how DSS Consulting helps their clients unlock those core benefits of Industry 4.0. Like, remember that incredible time savings in the first case?
Yeah.
That's all about increased efficiency. And the second case, with the digital assembly assistance, that's about improving quality and reducing errors, which ultimately boosts productivity.
So they're not just implementing technology for the sake of technology. They're using it to solve real problems.
Right, and that's what sets them apart. They're not just selling a product, they're offering a partnership.
So I have to ask, is there anything that surprised you about these cases?
I think what's really striking is the range of challenges they're tackling. From optimizing human resources to revolutionizing assembly lines, they're not afraid to get involved in any area where technology can make a difference. You know, going through these case studies, it's really impressive to see how DSS Consulting can adapt their solutions to fit these different needs. I mean, we've seen them optimize human resources for one company and then completely revolutionize assembly lines for another.
Right. It's like they have a magic wand for any manufacturing problem.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of.
But even magic wands have their limits. You mentioned that second case study involved some pretty tough challenges, like a complex software architecture and even a global pandemic thrown into the mix. How did DSS Consulting handle that?
Well, they definitely didn't give up. Remember, they were integrating this really cutting-edge technology from a university research project into an existing system. That's not easy. And then suddenly, the world shuts down because of COVID. Imagine trying to coordinate all that remotely, with teams all over the place, potentially facing different lockdowns and restrictions.
Oh man, it sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It was, but that's where their commitment to partnership really comes through. They didn't just say, well, too bad there's a pandemic. They adapted, found creative solutions, and kept things moving.
That's great. So what can we learn from this? Because unexpected challenges happen in every project, right?
Absolutely. And the key takeaway here is that DSS Consulting's success wasn't just about their technical expertise, it was also about their ability to build strong relationships, to communicate clearly, and be flexible when things got tough.
So it's really about the human side of things, too. Behind all the fancy tech, it's still people working together,
Right.
solving problems,
Yeah.
and ultimately creating something amazing.
It's easy to get lost in the buzzwords and technical details, but we can't forget that technology is supposed to help people.
Yeah, I agree. So we've talked a lot about the benefits of industrial digitalization. But what about the downsides? Like, there's a lot of talk about automation replacing jobs.
It's a valid concern, and it's important to acknowledge that automation will change the nature of work. But I don't think it's a simple case of robots taking over human jobs. It's more complicated than that.
So it's not necessarily about job loss, but job evolution.
Yeah, exactly. Like, think back to that first case study. By automating those tedious administrative tasks, they actually freed up employees to focus on more strategic and fulfilling work.
Interesting.
They helped that company upskill their workforce.
So instead of fearing the robots,
Okay.
we should figure out how to work alongside them.
Exactly. And that means investing in training and education to make sure people have the skills they need to succeed in this new world of technology.
You know, it's funny. We started by talking about DSS Consulting as digital detectives. But maybe they're more like digital architects,
I like that.
helping companies redesign their operations for a more human-centered future.
That's a great way to put it. And it makes you wonder if they can do it for manufacturing. Could similar approaches be used in other industries?
Like healthcare, education, even government.
Right. What if we could redesign those with this same human-centric approach?
That's an exciting thought. A world where technology isn't just about efficiency and productivity, but also about improving people's lives.
That's a future worth working towards.
That's why I love these deep dives. We start with a couple of case studies, and before you know it, we're talking about reshaping the whole world.
It shows how even the most technical topics can have a huge impact on how we live and work.
That's true. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're just getting started with DSS Consulting. What else can we learn from these case studies?
We'll look closer at their approach, their core values, and what makes them such effective partners.
Sounds good. We've seen how they've helped companies save time, boost productivity, and even navigate a global pandemic. But what's their secret? What makes them so good at what they do?
Well, one thing that really stands out to me is their focus on collaboration. You know, in both case studies, we saw them working really closely with their clients, getting feedback, making sure the solutions were actually what the client needed.
Yeah, it's like they're not just delivering a product off the shelf. It's more like they're building a partnership with each client.
Exactly. They seem to really get that technology is only as good as the people using it. So they put a lot of effort into building those relationships, making sure everyone is on the same page and working towards the same goal.
It makes you think about all those companies that just rush into implementing new technology. Without really thinking about how it's going to affect their employees, they spend tons of money on software or systems that end up just sitting there because nobody knows how to use them. Or even worse, nobody wants to use them.
It's like putting the cart before the horse. And that's where DSS Consulting really shines. They take the time to understand the people involved, the current workflows, even the company culture, before they even start talking about solutions.
It's almost like they're digital anthropologists, studying the tribe before they introduce fire.
I love that analogy. It really highlights how important it is to understand the context before you try to apply any technology. It's not about forcing a solution on someone. It's about finding the right fit.
So if we were to try and sum up DSS Consulting's approach, what would you say are their key principles?
I'd say collaboration, definitely, customization, and a deep understanding of what the client actually needs. They don't do one-size-fits-all solutions. It's more like they tailor each solution to the specific client.
But let's be realistic. Not every company has the resources to hire a team of digital tailors. So what can the average business owner or manager learn from DSS Consulting's approach, even if they're working with DSS directly?
That's a good question. I think the biggest takeaway is that technology should always have a purpose. Don't implement something just because it's the latest trend or because your competitor is doing it. Start by figuring out what your biggest problems are. Where are you losing time or money? Then, and only then, start looking for technology that can help you solve those specific problems.
So it's about being strategic
Uh-huh.
and focusing on the problems you're actually trying to solve.
Right. And remember that technology is a tool, not a magic solution. It's about finding the right tools for the job and then using them effectively.
And don't forget about the people involved. Make sure your team is on board with the changes.
Absolutely. The human element is critical. Technology can help people do more, but it can't replace people altogether.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember about DSS Consulting?
I think it's their ability to make technology human. They don't just implement systems, they empower people. They don't just deliver solutions, they build partnerships. And they don't just embrace technology, they use it to create a better future of work.
That's a great way to put it. It's really inspiring to see a company that's not just focused on profits, but also on making a positive impact.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that technology can be a force for good, especially when it's guided by human values and a commitment to working together.
Well, that's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of DSS Consulting and industrial digitalization. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty energized now, ready to tackle some digital transformation challenges of my own.
Me too. And who knows, maybe we'll be featuring one of our listeners' companies on a future deep dive.
That's a great idea. So to all our listeners out there, if you're doing something amazing with technology, let us know. Until next time, keep innovating, keep collaborating, and keep diving deep